Hello everyone, this is the first in the lecture videos for week 4 of Career and Employment Resources. In this lecture series this week, we're going to look at stage 3 of the Career Life Planning model, How Do I Get There? And we're going to explore some resources that fit with that stage of the model. We're also going to talk about important principles in career decision making when you're working with clients, and I will also introduce to you a very useful tool for helping clients who are trying to make a choice between several different options. And then before we end this week's lectures, I will touch on what homework you'll be doing this week. Last week, we explored resources to help clients with the what's out there stage of the career life planning model. So we looked at that stage in depth, and then of course the week prior to that, we looked at Who Am I in depth. This week, we'll focus more specifically on the last stage of the model, How Do I Get There, and resources that fit with this stage. Just going to remind you of the career life planning model and its various components, which we have already seen in this course. This is a bit more of a dynamic version of the model. So remember, who am I? Knowledge of self, what's out there, knowledge of work and learning pathways. And now we're focused on the third stage, how do I get there, where clients are going to choose and set a plan to achieve their goals. And this will usually consist of either education or training programs, selecting something to do with education, or conducting a job search. And just a reminder that the fourth step, review, evaluate, and adjust, is part of this model. So we have really added this fourth step to the first three stages. Who am I? What's out there? How do I get there? And review, evaluate, and adjust. When we look at the third step in the model, how do I get there? The third step in Frank Parsons' original model, which you were exposed to in the theories course, was integrating information about oneself and the world of work. Once information about oneself in step 1, who am I, and the world of work, what's out there in step 2, has been integrated, that integration happens in step 3 of Parsons' model. And it has evolved to now be a third part of the career life planning model, how do I get there? And this is the part of the model where clients can then formulate goals and develop an action plan to actually achieve those goals. So if I just go back for a moment to the career life planning model, in Frank Parsons' approach, that step of integrating the information from who am I and what's out there usually happens in this part of the model. So once we integrate this information, then it generates ideas for what types of occupations we might want to pursue and or what types of education we want to consider. Once we have integrated that and explored that information at this point in Frank Parsons' model, then we get to the third stage of the career life planning model, how do I get there? So just to keep in mind that this part of the model is not exactly corresponding to Frank Parsons' model. This integrating who am I and what's out there really happens in between that final stage of the career life planning model. How do I get there? You as a career development practitioner will of course play a very important role in helping clients to make choices, set goals, and develop an action plan to pursue their goals. Your role is to really lead them through this process and to do so in an objective manner, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. You do need to help clients balance their desire to make progress with ensuring that they've done enough of what we would call due diligence in steps 1 and 2. So ensuring that they have really taken the time to think about who they are and to explore and understand what's available to them in the world of work before they jump to step 3. It's really important to help clients balance reason and objective thinking with feelings and subjective preferences. Clients may want to jump to step 3 and they may want to just grab something because they're anxious and eager to find work or make a choice. And, we need to acknowledge and recognize that and support the client in moving ahead as quickly as we feasibly can. But it is important to help them also take a step back and ensure that they are really thinking through the choices that they're going to make. These are important life choices when people are making a choice, for example, to take a program that could take anywhere from 2 to 4 years. They're going to invest a chunk of time from their life as well as money in pursuing that goal. So it's worthwhile to try and take the time to really think through the choices that are available to them and then make good, well-informed choices to really think that all through. And again, I'll be showing you a tool for being able to do that with clients. As one example in thinking this through and balancing the reason with the feelings, I would, when I was working in the counseling office at George Brown, sometimes have students come in who were a few weeks into their program, sometimes a whole semester or even 2 semesters into their program, and had come to the conclusion that this program was not the right choice for them. They didn't like the work, or it just didn't fit for them in various ways. And so I would often explore with them, how did they make the choice? You know, if it doesn't fit for you, how did you decide initially that you thought this was going to fit? And quite often students would say things like, well, I just flipped through all the different programs that were available till I saw one that I thought I might like. Or a bunch of my friends were going to come to this college, and I wanted to come here so that I could be with my friends, and I just picked a program so that I could come to school. So, you know, those types of, when students would say that, it meant that they made their decisions based on feelings and subjective preferences. They hadn't really followed any kind of process for thinking that through and making those choices. So it's not to, you know, blame them or say what they did was wrong. Quite often, you know, we don't have the tools available to us, and people around us don't know how to lead us through that thought process. That's why we need career development practitioners in the field to help people make these kinds of good choices. So it's important to recognize also that clients may cycle through these steps any number of times before decisions are made. New information can emerge at any point that leads them to backtrack. Maybe they discover that the program that they were considering taking is full, or for whatever reason, they just decide they don't want to pursue it after all, and they might have to backtrack through the model to come up with a different option. So you, as a career development practitioner, need to be patient in allowing clients to make their own decisions in their own way at their own speed. And you may be the kind of person who can make a decision very quickly. You can gather information and process it and just go ahead and make the decision. Other people may need a bit more time. And sometimes, for example, some clients may want to have extensive discussions with family members or elders in their community. They may want or need to consult with other people and perhaps even gain approval from those people before making a decision. And that may be a reflection of their value system. So it is very, very important that you support clients and be patient with them in allowing them to make their own decisions in their own way, at their own speed, and to take whatever steps they feel they need to take. Your value system may be that you just make your own decisions. You don't have to ask anybody's permission. But for some people, some types of communities, and some cultures, it's very important that they consult with elders or other people, and that they do get some sense of approval before they go ahead with a particular choice or decision that they're making. So again, very, very important that you respect the values that other people may hold as they're working this process through. It's essential, especially when you get to this stage, that you be very cautious about influencing clients toward or away from any decision. We've certainly talked about this in other courses quite extensively, that we are not there to tell clients what to do. And it is very important to be mindful at this point, as clients are trying to make choices and decisions, that you refrain from influencing them, even unconsciously, with facial expressions or body language as they're talking through certain options. You may think certain ones are better than others, and you need to really be quite mindful and quite objective as you are supporting the client through this. So very important that you not communicate in any way that you approve of certain choices or options and you disapprove of others, where it's not our role to influence clients that way or to tell them what to do. We also don't want to rush them to make a choice or decision before they are ready. And again, some clients, as I've just said, need more time. So everybody's kind of got their own pace, and whatever the client's pace is, remember that principle of you need to be where the client is. And if they want to work quickly, you want to try and support them through the process as quickly as possible. And if they need more time, then you need to slow down and give them the time that they need. You can, of course, make clients aware of deadlines and timeframes that might affect them if they delay. If you start talking with them in mid-December about going to school the following fall, then you need to be aware, for example, if certain colleges or universities, if the deadline is February 1st, to apply for those programs in the fall, then you need to ensure that the client is aware of those types of timeframes. Then they have a choice to either speed up their process of decision making, or they will decide, no, I'm going to really take my time with this, and if I miss the deadline, I miss it. I'll pick it up next year at the first opportunity. Let's just have a look now at the more detailed version of the how do I get there stage. And again, this is the point at which the client has made a choice. They've decided what they want to do. They're very clear about their goal, and they are setting a plan to achieve that goal. So we are in the goal setting stage at this point, and there are usually two directions that clients will go in. The goals usually will fit in one of two categories. One would be some kind of education, training, or retraining that they might need, or it could be that they are now ready to go and look for work. They've decided what types of jobs they want to target. If we're in the education, training, or retraining section, if this is the direction that they're going, then we will be sharing with them specific training and education options that they might choose from, specialized training such as bridging programs, and also any funding sources such as Second Career. Now, I want to pause here for a moment and just identify that when we were back in the What's Out There stage, that we were also exploring training and education and specialized training and so on. But when the client is doing that as part of What's Out There, they really have no idea what's available to them. So if someone is thinking they might want to be an engineer, but they don't know, what types of engineering programs are there, who's offering them, what do they involve in terms of length of time and cost and so on. When a client is exploring all of that information, they're still in the what's out there stage. They haven't said they're going to go to engineering school. They're just exploring what's available. If they do all of that as part of what's out there and they say, yes, I'm ready, I want to go to engineering school, now I'm ready to apply. So now they're in the how do I get there stage. And this is where we would be specifically saying, for example, well, here are 3 schools, or here are the 5 schools in Ontario that offer engineering credentials. Or if there's some field they're going into that might be specialized training. For example, you might have someone who was a teacher in their country of origin, and maybe they want a bridging program so they can teach in Canada. And then you would also, as I said, explore funding sources as part of this. So that's what you'd be doing in the education, training, or retraining portion of the goal setting stage. How do I get there? It's very concrete. Here are the schools, now we're going to apply, as opposed to when you're in what's out there, you just, don't really know what you're looking at. You're just kind of still gathering information. If clients are ready to begin looking for jobs as part of their job search process, then all of this you'd be very familiar with now at this point in the program. You will, of course, help them create a good customized resumes to apply for jobs and cover letters. You will prepare them for interviews. You will direct them to job posting sites, some of which we'll look at in our material this week. You might also direct them to job fairs. At the time that I'm recording this, we're in the midst of the pandemic, so job fairs are being held online. But hopefully when we get out of this pandemic period, we will be able to go back to live in-person job fairs as well. You might also direct them to social media platforms such as LinkedIn, where they can identify job postings, and they can also expand their network, connect with people who are working in a field that might be of interest to them, join groups that fit with their field of interest, and expand their network so that they can then do information interviews with people who are working in the field, for example. So you would be very familiar with all of the things that you'd be doing at this point within this part of the model. So that's just a snapshot of how you would do the how do I get there stage with the client. And in the next part of this lecture series, we're going to move on and talk about some resources that fit with how do I get there. So when you're ready, take a break from this one. And when you're ready, please do go on and watch part 2 of this video series.